this video, let's take a look at how I was able to create this very simple JavaScript game using only ChatGPT. Now, as you can see with this game right now, we'll reload it. I have the ability to move the dinosaur up, down. I have the ability to score, if you will, and then that speeds up these obstacles, vehicles that may crash into the dinosaur. And when the dinosaur does get hit up to 3 times, the game ends. You can see the score, the time elapsed, and we saw that there were different permutations of images for the obstacles that we're coming across. Pretty much your standard type of a game. If you want to go back to Frogger days, or all types of similar games have been created this way. But what I wanted to figure out was, could I do this with ChatGPT? And just as a stab, start using the new Canvas feature of ChatGPT. Sure enough, that's what I was able to do. So let's take a look at how I got that to actually work. Okay, here I am in ChatGPT, and I started off with, I really don't know how to use the Canvas feature. So I asked the GPT what to do, and it gave me some tips. Okay, so going through this, you can see it's very helpful. You can actually save it and export it. Okay. Now I wanted to know, hey, can I actually share this using some app mentions? Now this is going to actually kind of dig deeper into more of a collaboration concept, and I'll have other videos coming out where I do contracts or documents with the Canvas versus this game. But this game was just the first foray for me into seeing what Canvas can do. And it certainly could work with coding, as you can see here, but it also can work with documents, all sorts of documents. So for right now, it appears ChatGPT, with this plan that I'm on, which is the free plan, totally free at this point, it's not able to share, but you can copy and paste the text, and then you could use Google Docs or Slack or email to send something around. So very helpful and solid feedback. What's neat is the ChatGPT Canvas here will track all the versions. So the ideas are starting to percolate as to how I'll have a video and showcase how ChatGPT Canvas could be used potentially for redlining. And what are the benefits, and maybe not so much. So let's take a look here now for purposes of this game. So I put a prompt in. I specified exactly the engine that I wanted to use. Now I could have done this with a pure JavaScript approach. I did not need to use a JavaScript game framework, but in this case I like Phaser, and the Phaser is available through a CDN, which is a content delivery network, which means no files have to come with this HTML page. Everything is self-contained. And I gave it the prompt of, hey, let's have a dinosaur cross the road. You could pause the video and read exactly my prompt if you wanted to, but at the end, this is the first prompt of it. Well, if I wanted to look at the full history of the document, I'm able to do that by going through previous versions. And this is where this is pretty powerful when it comes to using this feature. So you can see here, it's all the emojis that I started to add. And here's the original emojis. And before those emojis, I actually asked it to go and create images for me and base64 encode those images. Well, it didn't do that good of a job for that, but I don't know if my prompt was really specifically clear on that. But what was interesting is, again, being able to, in essence, say, hey, you know, take a stab at it, which it did. So as I went through some iterations here, I added some other things. I wanted to make sure it was XHTML compliant. What does that mean? Well, you're basically following best practices for markup when you ask for XHTML. It's HTML in an XML flavor. What I had noticed is when it was writing some of the code, it actually dropped the end tags. And I thought, that's not a good thing. So let's see if I can enforce that. But sum and substance, this started my process and I created my first export. It compiled this and gave me a hot link to then download it. It didn't try to push anything directly to my hard drive without me doing something. Okay, so that was good. Security wise, there's no automatic push. You don't want that. Right, so then I went through with some different iterations and saying, hey, you know, the lines are missing. We need you to do the lines. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. I wanted a heads-up display above the game, a heads-up display for anybody. This is heads-up display. It just tells you how many lives you have left, your time, your score, so on and so forth. In writing a game, they call it a heads-up display. So those are the things, and then I said, look, I don't like this base64. Let's substitute emojis, and look for vehicles from Emojipedia. I don't even have to tell it where to look. It just figured it out, and it went and it continuously updated the code. So as I continued to kind of just improve the game and find tweaks and changes I wanted made, because I was testing it as I was able to build it, because you can copy this, and in effect I use Visual Studio Code. So I'd copy it, I'd paste it, and this is just running locally off of the hard drive. There's no web server involved here because it's pure JavaScript, HTML and CSS. You don't need a web server for that. You can run it off of your hard drive, and that allows you to test this out. And that's another benefit of building with web technology. The browser can run a local page. It doesn't have to be served from another domain. Okay? So, with that said, let's get killed here. Back to the code and back to chatting my way through this. It was very interesting. Upon every change, it started from the top and it worked its way down. And it would address the change where it needed to either add code, modify code, etc. And you would see that in real time. Super neat, very, very efficient, and fully transparent in that regard. So I got to the final part here where I wanted to add some more emojis, and it appears I ran out of time, and it will reset. So my questions that I could ask will reset at 8:50 p.m. Eastern. But I could always upgrade my plan to $20 a month and get more time, I guess, with the GPT-4o, as well as other benefits. But this is very, very encouraging to see this basically compile this application, create this application from scratch. I did not recommend naming conventions. I did not recommend how I wanted things commented. It started doing that all by itself. And granted, it's learned from other humans' code and potentially other AI generated code how to construct the functions and put the code within. And as I said, I used the phaser game library for this. So if you just wanted it to be a pure JavaScript without a call out to a phaser library, it could be refactored, and I'm sure I could ask it to say, remove all phaser and build this as a completely pure JavaScript game. Some other lessons learned here, which I found, again, super cool. You can click in and you can modify the code, and it will track that. So if you do want to make a change and you don't want to have, or you don't have any more time to do changes here, yeah, you could come in here and you can make that change and it will save it. And this is auto saving it. Now, where is it saving it? That's a great question. I don't know yet. It's possible this is all local. I don't think so. I'm guessing this is on their servers, but I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. So this is, again, some additional changes. You can see the befores, the afters, and what went down and how it would be done. This is also going to carry forward for documents, unstructured content, agreements. So that's going to be another unique thing to see when you look at red lines, and you have to cycle through apparently this way. And that's what it gives you the opportunity to do. It'd be nice if there was a whole list of the versions, and then you could kind of see which one to click on. Maybe that comes with a paid plan. I'm not sure. But right now this is just messing around with all of the emojis, which is kind of a waste. So if we go all the way back in time, let's see if we can even go right. Let's see where we are. Okay, so that was, yep, something changed there. So we're still going backwards. So this has got the entire history from the inception prompt of what to do. I mean, that's pretty cool. You're not missing any version here. So you can always go back and you can determine, all right, you know, what are we doing? So this was the first bite at the apple. And it was telling me, hey, insert these base 64s. And I said, nah, I want you to figure that out. And then it did it. And it didn't do a great job, but again, it's okay. I don't think that's a deal breaker from any perspective, because I didn't specifically tell it what type of an image I wanted. It created this placeholder, but still did the base 64 conversion as well. So that's really kind of nice. Then I went with emoji. But if I had images, yeah, you would take those images, you base 64 encode them, so then they travel with the page. And you don't have to have either an HTTP reference here to another location, or actually download the files, JPEGs, PNGs, whatever, and put them in the same folder or a different folder along with your HTML page. So it's just really neat to have it be a self-contained way to distribute this HTML page. Right, this is Canvas. This is really very, 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 very powerful right out of the gate. And future videos are going to be coming to showcase how this can work with a document and potentially contracts. Thanks.